بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I wanted to share some thoughts I had yesterday about some conversations about the work that we were having. So I titled this scattered thought as Our Mission Requires Dedication and Commitment. You know, there is the last verse in the Surah of the Spider, Al-Ankabut. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala mentions that those who struggle toward us, we would guide them, certainly guide them to our paths. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. It is something that every time I have these type of discussions about our mission, and I don't know if many of you may realize, and maybe you do, I would hope you do, that this 3453 is a mission. That has many components. And it is a mission like other missions that serve to spread the da'wah of Islam. But it has its people. And sometimes when you don't think of your work like that, you'll spread yourself too thin, concentrating on areas that are really not your mission. You know, there's the old saying, you can't save everybody. Y'all remember that saying? Can't save everybody. That's true. And one needs to realize that But the ones who you can save are mixed in with everybody. So even though you know you can't save everybody, you have to work as if you're trying to save everybody to bring out, pull out those who you're meant to save among the masses. And that needs to be a mindset. While you're trying to save yourself. Because if one is not careful, one will lose himself or herself while trying to save others. And this is not a Quranic understanding where Allah told us in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ku anfusakum wa ahlikum. Ku anfusakum. So the priority is to save yourself so you're able to save others, like your family and others. So it is important that we understand what we're doing. That's why we have those numbers. So 3, 4, 5, 3 to give us like narrow that down. And if you just really took the last 3 and you concentrate on it, knowledge, practice, and implementation of that knowledge, and calling to Allah, that's the priority. That's the priority. And you're going to work in your area for the benefit of the entire ummah. You want to work in your area for the benefit of the entire ummah. And each of us has that responsibility to some extent, where there is somebody who needs us to help them find the straight path, to be a better Muslim, to be a better human being. And you have to be wise enough to figure who them people are. One of the most beautiful things I've heard as like words of wisdom was that everybody has to take care of the people in their orbit. I found that so beautiful. Everyone has to take care of the people in their orbit. And this was in terms of da'wah, the person was talking about. In other words, everybody has their realm of influence. They can reach somebody. You're responsible for that realm of influence. Those are the people in your orbit. And you have to be like a shepherd with them. You have to be dedicated. You have to be committed to the work that is entailed to help them become winners on the day of judgment. So know your mission and fulfill your mission with excellence. And don't mix your mission up with someone else's mission, even if it may seem similar, but it may not be the same. It may have some aspects of similarity, but it's not exactly the same. All right, Brother Dennis, give me a couple minutes and you can ask your question, or you can put your question in if, I'll put it up and I'll look at it, inshallah. So when I look at the 3453 platform and family, what is our mission? Our main mission is to spread and teach the knowledge of Islam according to the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, and it targets specifically people who would not normally have access to that information. I was really thinking about this yesterday. So our mission is to teach Islam. Obviously, we Muslims. How? According to the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And who is that directed to? A people who normally would not get access to this information. Let me give you a wake-up call. How many masjids, Islamic centers, do you imagine are in the United States of America? Let's play with some numbers quickly. It's your imagination or your facts. But what do you think? The whole entire United States, how many masjids or Islamic centers do you think there are? Just give it in your mind, whatever you may think. It's most likely not going to be exact unless you did a survey. But what do you think in your mind? Give some possibilities. 250, 300,000? Wow. 5,000, 500,000, 500,000. These are some way far numbers. 5,000, 1,000. About 3,000. 1,500. Let's say this. Between 3,000 to 6,000 would be safe for sure. And anything above that is extra, and it's definitely not below that, right? So let's give a range. Right? Now, out of those, say 5,000, let's just give a number to be in between all this. It's definitely ain't 300,000 or 500,000. It ain't that many masjids. Trust me. I know that for sure. Right? So let's say 5,000. Big, small, some small, right? How many of them are predominantly African American and follow the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah and led by African American imams? So let's give that number 5,000. Just, it's not precise, but it's just to give a point of reflection. Out of those 5,000, little less or little more, how many do you think are Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, meaning Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, Sufi? How many do you think it is out of the 5,000? Y'all got some high numbers. Could you please identify them for me so I could go find them and join with them? I would say not even 10% of that. And we would be pushing 5%. Right? We would be pushing 5%. That's the target audience of 3453. That's the target audience. That doesn't mean others won't be reached and others won't be benefited. That portion of people is the target audience that needs to be increased. That's the mission. One of unifying that small portion first. Get them together because they have the same creed, the same practice, the same spirituality. You need to bring them together. That's one challenge. So if there's 50 masjids or Islamic centers with that description, and I don't know them, so that's a work in and of itself to find them. If there is 50 like that, I don't know them. And we've tried to count them. Really searching is hard. It's not an easy thing. So we have to unite them. We have to find them. We have to unite them. Right? And then we have to motivate the people who follow and support those masjids, those centers, to go work in da'wah to spread. That's a mission. Here's a challenge. Many of us don't realize the amount of work and effort that is needed to accomplish that mission. That work requires all of you. Because of the amount of work that is involved in such a mission, it requires all of you. You actually have to make that your priority, and everything else is secondary. And not many of us understand such a commitment. It's not that deep. In reality, it's deeper than that. But for a lot of us, it's not that deep. But the numbers are so low because we didn't take the work and the mission serious enough. And in that, you can't compromise. You cannot compromise. You have to be focused and you can't compromise. And you have to do it every single day. Multiple hours a day. In other words, it has to become your job. And those who are not at that level oh, this is a good question. I'm going to answer that. Beautiful. Thank you, Dennis. Oh my goodness. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Can you divide that in half into two questions? This is the question here. Habibi, can you divide this into two? Because I can't see your whole question. So don't do more than 2 lines. Like, even if you have to make 3 different things, it's separate. I can't see your whole question. And you're on YouTube, so, right? So kind of like divide your question. Like, don't make it so long. Don't make no big long paragraph. I can't see it. It gets broken. So just make it as brief as possible, even if you have to make 2 or 3 posts. I want to answer that question. It's very important. I thank you for the question. Let me finish what I was saying, though. So I'm mentioning this based on several, like I told you, a lot of this stuff comes from conversations I be having, right? And a lot of people see the work we're doing and they want to use that for their mission. They see the work we're doing, our level. It's not that big, but it's consistent. And it has a commitment from our side and from your side. There's a commitment. We are committed to what we're doing. We're doing it. We're learning. We're in it every day. The numbers reflect. We are committed. Even if it's a small group of us, it's a committed small group. And they could do a lot, right? That small committed group can do a lot. And people want to use that for their work, for their mission, which has nothing to do with what we're doing. And our job is to understand our mission so our mission is not derailed. So one of the things that we have the responsibility of doing is constantly reiterating to you what our mission is. One day I want to make a trip. After we understand, I would have been made this trip, but I don't do it because I don't think we fully understand our mission, and I don't want us to get distracted by someone else's ice. You know, they say the other man's ice is colder. It's not true, but we believe that. But I would like to show all of us, I would like to take a trip to show us collectively what can happen when you're dedicated and you're committed to a mission right in our midst, right? So I'm going to one day arrange a trip just for us all over the country. That we get to see what can be done with dedication and commitment. But we have to do that for our target audience. It is not sufficient to see what others do and have done and are doing while we remain idle and don't get the job done. And worse, celebrate the success of others while you're a complete failure. You're failing at your mission and you're celebrating someone else's successes in their mission. You should celebrate their success and you should learn from it so that your mission is successful, because you do have a mission. And you shouldn't abandon your mission because you saw someone else successful and then you just go do another mission that's not your mission, and your mission goes unaccomplished. Because sometimes people are working in their orbit. That's not your orbit, that's their orbit. But it shows you what can be done in your own orbit. Am I making sense to y'all or no? I'm making a lot of sense to me, but I don't know if it's coming across. Because sometimes when you're saying things without saying them, sometimes they don't always connect. Are y'all following me? I could be raw in this, but I don't think it's necessary. I do think it's necessary, but people can't handle raw. A lot of us can't handle raw, period. We be saying that stuff. But as soon as someone tell you raw, oh, you got bad adab, oh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, just tell you the truth is bad adab. Lie to you, that's good adab. That's how we act. Take care of my emotions. Come on, man, grow up. Shaitan ain't worried about your emotions. He's kicking you in the butt. He don't care about your emotions. Someone came to me the other day because we had a peace walk. I told you we didn't had so many murders this month in Atlantic City. It's like ridiculous. For our small city, just killing spree happening. May Allah help us. So someone came to me. They was like, Imam, someone had just got killed the other day. And he said, Imam, we got to do something. And I said, inshallah, we will do as much as we can. Right? And they was like, nah, we got to do something, man. This is out of hand. And I was thinking, that sounds great. It's a nice emotional response. But most of us ain't committed to really do nothing. We just talking. Soon as we got to sacrifice, soon as we got to show some dedication and commitment, it ain't that important at that point. It's only important when someone else going to do it. When you got to do it, it's challenging there. So we have to do it. No one's going to clean your yard. No one's going to clean your yard. If they do, they probably do it once. But they're not going to come every day and clean your yard. They're not going to do it. It's your yard, your job to clean it. And don't let nobody distract you from cleaning your yard to go clean their yard. Your yard's filthy and you're going over there with your rake and your bag and to pick up their leaves. And you got leaves climbing up to the top, the roof of your building. You over there cleaning up somebody else's yard. That don't make a lot of sense at all. Yeah, you sure right about that. I'm quite sure you seen me having to shovel my own snow, right, Farouk? So I'm just saying we got work to do. And every day when we come on, or the days we come on and we're working. We're not entertaining. Even if it's entertaining, we're not entertaining. Every day we're working on that mission. And to us, and I pray to you, and your effort shows me that you do see it, that listen, we don't have no choice but to do this work. We have to spread all around the country. That's a lot of work. We have to figure out how to unify. We have to figure out, because we need our soldiers. We can't be fighting each other all the time. Not for the work we have to do. We have to learn to put some stuff to the side. We have to learn how to do it. I'm not saying compromise. I said we have to learn how to do it. That doesn't involve compromising. That's why I don't mind having a dialogue. Sometimes people may consider it like arrogant or brave, or I think it's necessary. So when we talk about let's just have the discussion publicly, I think it's necessary. It ain't about who's going to win and who's going to lose. We have to have adult conversations, and we have to tackle real issues, because the mission, the mission we have to take requires all the help we can get. And a lot of these things are distractions put in our communities intentionally, so we never unify to get a job done. And all of us will be working for somebody else's mission. Right? I really would like to have a real talk with men. I mean, but a lot of guys, soft as cotton, they sound like men. But when you get like a real man talk, they can't hold their principles. Like man to man, we're gonna go at it. Let's do it. A lot of people ain't cut like that. We have a crisis of manhood. Seriously. Like bad. You can't stand face to face with another man and hold your ground. You flee, you make some pious excuse why you don't deal with the issue. I don't argue. Well, don't argue then. Still, what they got to do with having a discussion? It's not an argument. What are you talking about? Don't argue. I'm a Sufi. You ain't no Sufi. Would you knock it off? Sufi stayed on the battlefield. What are you talking about? Sufi stayed on the battlefield. What are you talking about? No, seriously. Like, some of our women are more strong in their approach than the men. But we need to have those real conversations. Because if you don't have the real conversation, what's going to happen? You're still having that conversation. You're just having it behind someone's back. You're still having the conversation. You're just having it behind somebody's back. Coward. That's simple. You're having the conversation. You just ain't having it with the one you're talking about. So Even if it's a false sense of unity, you still got that conversation going on and you ain't addressed it. And nor have you addressed how to navigate it and still cooperate. So that's part of the work too. So as my point, and that's why it's so much. And I don't think this is going to be solved by using the Quran and Sunnah as a means to hide from the work. In fact, the Quran and Sunnah dictates that you be on the front lines of the work. Tahir, are you talking about Mr. Charlie? I hope you're not talking about Mr. Charlie, are you? Change your perception if that's the case. If that's the case, if you're talking about Mr. Charlie feels like hell on earth, change your perception. Because Allah put you there, and there is wisdom in Him putting you there. Be content where He put you for the moment He put you there. When He changes you, then go with the change. And that's for all of us. Wherever Allah place you, there's a wisdom in it. So stand in that space, realizing this is where Allah wants you at the moment. And do your best in every aspect at that moment, in that place, in that situation. And when Allah moves you, then just go as Allah moves you. That's a rule in everything in life. Wherever Allah puts you, is a wisdom and there is a benefit. You didn't put you there, Allah put you there for a reason and a wisdom, even if you don't see it. That's in everything. Don't move, even at the heart level, until Allah moves you. Don't move, even at the heart level, until Allah moves you. And whenever you start feeling those feelings, correct your intention. I am where Allah wants me to be. And I will move when Allah moves me. But for now, my heart is with Allah, where Allah put me. Do you follow? And everyone struggles with that. Let me give you a struggle. I'm going to show you something. Every day, I was having these thoughts what you're talking about. I wish from my own side that I could redo Masjid Muhammad to something that would be like nice. I can't. That's not what Allah wants at this moment. And I got in my mind how I could change that whole thing. But Allah didn't move me, so I don't move. Even though, it gets in me sometimes. But I don't move. And I've been like that for a couple years. And people in the masjid will tell you, he goes through it. I do. Because I see we could do much better than we're doing. And I know how to do it in my mind. But I let Allah move when He moves. We'll move when He moves. I'm going to just stay where Allah put me and do the best the way He got it. And He's the one, Al-Fa'alu lima yurid. He does what He wills. He'll move you when it's time for you to move. He'll make the circumstances that you have to move to something else. You won't have a choice. And then when He does that, you just move as He put you. But make sure that's at the heart level. Don't think of it only outward. Think of it at the heart level. I don't move until Allah moves me. That's real tasawwuf. You follow me? That's a lesson. Let me see if I can read something to you. Give me 1 second. I'm going to answer your question, Dennis. Give me 5 seconds. Hold on. Let me see if I can find something for you. It's very inspiring. It's very beautiful. Try to live by this. I'm going to share something with you real quick. Give me a second. It won't take me long. It's a wisdom that I'm going to share with you. I was going to give a whole lesson on this because I thought it would be so beneficial for us. Allah. Let me see. Maybe this is it. I'll find it tomorrow. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm all around it, and then as soon as I get off, I'm saying, "Oh, here we go." MashaAllah. I have a treat for y'all later. Anyway, I'll find it later. So I don't take up time. I'm sorry for taking up unnecessary time. But the point is be content wherever Allah places you, and don't move from that place. And I mean by place, meaning that situation, even at the heart level, until Allah moves you. And move where Allah moves you. Right? And I'll Tahir, remind me to expound on this. And I will. I gotta find something I want to share with y'all, but it's not working right now. My brain is not there. Okay. Let me take these questions. Okay. Some questions. I got a bunch of questions here, so y'all gotta be patient. Stick around for these questions. I'm gonna take some of these real quick, but they're important questions because many people misunderstand these questions. Mm. All right, let me hit these questions. Bismillah. So, when Ahl Sunnah say there is no how in relation to the attributes of Allah, I am kind of confused in regards to this part of it. I understand the negation of the literal meaning, but in relation to the metaphorical meanings, there is still no how. Okay, good. I got your question. Let's take the first part of it. Many people misunderstand the term that is used when it comes to those attributes of Allah that are mentioned in verses in the hadith that are allegorical. Or when we say allegorical, I don't want to say that. They bear more than one meaning, and the intended meaning is not clear, right? Right? So these are hadith, verses in hadith that are called al-mutashabihat, right? And this is mentioned in Surah 3, verse number 7, this type of verse. So the attributes of Allah that are mentioned in those type of verses, right? From the early Muslims, Al-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, they used to say about them, bila kayf, right? Without a how. And people get this statement of the scholars mixed up with the understanding of Al-Wahhabiyya. I know some of y'all emotionally can't handle when I say Wahhabi. I'm not going to change names. I don't do that. When I say Wahhabi, I mean Salafi too. The Salafis are the Wahhabis. They're the same people. I know it may emotionally not feel good, but it's true. And if you understand the belief system behind those names, then you'll understand why I say that. They, the Wahhabiyya, who identify themselves by the name Salafi, those Wahhabis, they believe that Allah's attributes have a how, but only Allah knows them, we don't. Al-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Al-Asha'ira, wal-Maturidiyya, wal-Hanabila in creed negate the attribution of a how to Allah and his attributes. Is that clear? That's one point. Is that part clear? And Brother Dennis, since you asked the question, I want you to make sure you understand firstly, because you asked the question. And others have asked this question. Is this clear for everyone? Does everyone understand this by now? If you don't, say I don't. If you do, clear. Right. So it is unlawful to ascribe or attribute a how to Allah's attributes, whether you know it or saying Allah knows it. How is negated. You cannot say how about Allah. There is no how for Allah and his attributes. How pertains to created things, according to Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Al-Asha'ira wal-Maturidiyya wal-Hanabila. Do you understand that? So once you hear somebody talking about we don't know the how, know that person has misunderstood Aqidah. Whenever you hear someone say, we leave the how to Allah, we don't know the how, they have misunderstood the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Is that clear? This is very important. How is impossible to attribute to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala and his attributes. Impossible, negated, not permissible, unlawful, haram, kufr. Y'all got that? Now, the Wahhabiyya, they took that same term, bila kayf, and they twisted the meaning. So they say, no how that we know, but there is a how that Allah knows. And this is wrong. Is this clear? It's wrong. It's a total belief, different belief than Ahl Sunnah, and it's not permissible to believe, whether they think it is or not, as long as we got that part. So we don't say how about Allah. There is no how about Allah. And not to be too technical, the statement that they attribute to Imam Malik as saying, wal kayf majhul, is a weak narration that is not authentically attributed to Imam Malik. And we'll talk about that at another time, because they keep throwing this narration out as if this is authentic, and it's not, right? And we will mention the narrations, but that's another discussion, right? So I am aware of that narration that is falsely attributed to Imam Malik. But from a hadith science standpoint, that thing is weak as all outdoors. Okay. So that point. So right there, that's a vast difference. Let me move on to the other part of your question. In relation to the metaphoric meanings, there is still no how. So once you understood that how is impossible to ascribe to Allah, we don't use how at all. How is negated about Allah and his attributes. So whether it's a literal meaning or metaphoric meaning, when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how does not apply. Now, metaphorical meanings, the way of the majority of as-salaf is to not give a meaning. It is to leave the intended meaning of the word that is mentioned in the verses of the Quran or hadith as an attribute of Allah, to affirm that narration of that word as an attribute, but the intended meaning of that word is left to Allah. That doesn't mean it doesn't have a meaning. It has multiple meanings, and the scholars know those meanings. But which one specifically did Allah intend by that word and that attribute? They leave it to him while declaring him clear of resembling created things. Right? So they don't assign a meaning. So there is no metaphorical meaning in this case. Right? This is, if we can get right here, that's first step, because that's the basis of all Sunnis. That is called a tafweed. So do y'all understand that? Which means leaving the meaning, leaving the intended meaning to Allah. That's called tafweed. Do y'all got that? Please, please, I hope you understand this. If we can understand this, man, this is hard. Listen, please take a given. Most of us have not learned Islamic creed properly. Can we put that? Most of us. This is true. And then we don't accept it. And that's why it makes it so difficult for some of us to understand. We haven't learned properly. Most of us. We didn't sit with a classical trained teacher with books, and we didn't learn like that. We were reading on our own videos, listening to some unlearned imam, and that was our case. Not because we wanted it to be like that. That's where we found ourselves. So a lot of issues are all scrambled in our brains. It needs to be totally wiped clean and start from scratch. Seriously. Even though you learn Arabic, you still didn't learn properly. You just know how to say confusion in Arabic. You didn't learn. And sometimes that's hard to admit, but it's true. And it pertains to most of us, if not almost 99% of us. So don't be so arrogant. Start over. You need to learn over. You need to understand and say alhamdulillah that Allah is trying to open a door for us to understand. Because now you know why we say default Wahhabi, because that's where those ideas came from. And they planted it in your minds so you don't see anything else. And we have to fix it. You have to fix it. So please don't just pass it by, because sometimes when I hear you say it, when you got to articulate it, it don't come out right. That means you didn't understand. So we're talking about what type of verses in hadiths. Let's start there. What type of verses in hadiths are we talking about? Are we talking about every kind of verse in hadith that relates to an attribute of Allah? Are we talking about all the attributes of Allah? Question. That's a question. I want you. What type of verses and hadiths are we talking about here? Right. We're talking about al-mutashabihat. These are verses and hadiths that mention an attribute of Allah that could bear more than one meaning, and the apparent meaning is not befitting to attribute to Allah. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about anything else. So that means, what is the apparent literal meaning? That thing that comes to your mind that resembles created things immediately when you hear the word. We're talking about that. That's it. And everything about the attributes of Allah are not like that. We're talking about a certain type of hadith or verse of the Quran, right? So those mutashabihat, those verses and hadiths that are mutashabihat, that talk about the attributes of Allah, the approach of the majority of the Salaf, not every single one of them, the majority of those first early 3 generations was to recite them, affirm the attribute, leave the meaning, make tafweed of the true intended meaning to Allah, negate any howness, negate it, not leave it to Allah. We don't make tafweed of kayfiyah. That's the Wahhabis, not Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. We negate kayfiyah, howness, modality. And we clear Allah from resembling the creation. That's that simple, right? The Wahhabis don't believe that. They affirm a kayfiyah that Allah knows. They just negate that they know it, but they affirm its existence, its reality. Ahl Sunnah negate that, period. And if it sounds a little passionate in my emphasis, is because we keep messing it up and we don't distinguish, because we don't want to say the Wahhabis are misguided. They are misguided. Yes, it's true. Not because Amin Muhammad says it. It's true. They're misguided in creed. It's not valid to follow their creed. I know you like them. I know that's your cousin. I know that's your brother. I know that's your mom. I know that's your aunt. I know that's your homeboy. I know that's your homegirl. I got it. Correct their creed. Help them. Don't become their enemy. They don't understand. Teach them. But don't say it's insane. It's just semantics. It's not. It's wrong. It's not permissible to believe. And just because sometimes thinking and critically thinking and examining things can be a little painstaking, don't mean we should give it up. We have to speak the truth. Okay, so Dennis, do you got it? Is it all clear now? So metaphoric meaning or figurative meaning is called ta'wil. That's a whole nother discussion, and it still doesn't change the first discussion. So you need to get the first. Oh my goodness. Please, 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 please stop challenging until you learn. Learn to repeat first for all of us. Learn to repeat sometimes, just so you can understand what is being said before you analyze it and break it down. Just try to repeat exactly what was said. Once you get that and you understand what is being said, 9 times out of 10, you won't have to do all that other stuff. Seriously. Discipline yourself to just sometimes just listen, retain, and repeat. And once you got that down packed, then do all the other stuff. Because you won't change words, you won't change meanings, you won't go all over the place. Like, work hard at that. And I know some of our brains don't work like that, but we have to train ourselves. Stop overthinking it. Just get the point first. I'm not saying don't think, don't cancel your brain, but get the point first. Because if you don't got the point and you're using your intellect all over the place, you never got the first point clear. Once you got the first point clear, it's easy. That's why we go in stages in our learning. We go from a beginner's text to an intermediate text to advanced text to scholarly text. Why? So we can understand the cases and then add. Y'all with me? Y'all understand what I'm saying? Y'all clear? Everyone got that point? The base case. Everyone could understand it and repeat it, or you need to practice. And I understand it's a new concept, which is the mission part. I understand it's a new concept. I got it. I understand that fully. And that's why I'm talking about the mission, how much work we got to do. So how many people don't understand this? And then I'll be being taught the deliberate opposite. Opposite mean being taught the opposite deliberately. Don't go off topic. Don't go off topic. Don't go off topic. Stay on topic. That's another problem. Stay on topic. Don't go off topic. Even if you got it, don't go off topic till everyone got it. That's how you ended up an Ansar. You keep going off topic. And Dr. York was waiting for you as soon as you went off topic. I'm joking. I'm having fun. Okay. So that was that question. Let me take the other questions. And I'll build on that. Just make sure we got that. So could someone articulate? Dennis, can you do me a favor? Where are you located, Brother Dennis? Where are you located? Brother Dennis, where are you located? I want you to do me a favor. I'm going to do an experiment. You mind joining me in the experiment? You're in Australia. Are you on a computer or a phone? Are you in a good space? If I brought you on, can can you come on? Even if you cover your face, it's fine. Just don't put on your camera. Can you do that? If I put a link, can you join and just cover your face? So you don't have to be exposed, but just your voice. Can you do that? I want you to articulate what I just told you. Typing may be a little difficult, if you can. Are you in that position? Okay, I'm going to give you the link. And anyone who thinks, I don't want no one to show your face, right? But I want to make sure that we're understanding. So anyone who think they can articulate what I said, grab that link, take off your camera. I can see you before you come on. If you put on your camera, I'm just not going to bring you in, right? And if you turn on your camera, while you're on, I'm going to just click you out. Everyone understand the ground rules? If you try to go somewhere else, I'm going to click you out. I just need you to articulate that point about the attributes of Allah and the approach of the Ash'aris and Maturidis, Ahl Sunnah, in terms of tafweed, in terms of how we approach that. Is the instructions clear? So I'm going to kick you out if you go somewhere else. If you go off topic, if you try to turn on your camera, I'm going to put you out. So you're welcome. Join in. That's specifically to Dennis. There's the link. So just copy that link. It'll bring you in. I'll see you and I'll bring you in. Just make sure your camera's off. Okay. Barakallahu bikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. All right. Can you do me a favor? Explain what I said.
Okay, so basically, in relation to halness doesn't relate to the attributes of Allah or doesn't relate to Allah. It either doesn't relate to any metaphorical meaning or literal meaning, because the halness or how is an attribute of the creation.
All right, let me stop you there 1 second. In Arabic, you say al-kayfiyya, that's the term howness,
Yeah.
or you can say kayf. So al-kayf, the how, is not related to Allah and his attributes. You got me?
Yeah.
I'm just giving you the Arabic word that's used for that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Now complete.
What else is there to say?
So what is
So
the
basically,
approach? What is the approach of most of the Salaf, because it's not all of them,
okay,
and it's called tafweed. How does
yeah.
that work? Give me levels of it.
Okay,
Related,
so tafweed, they come across a mutashabihat verse,
or
which
or
or a verse which
or
entails,
a verse, or what else?
or a
Quran
hadith, sorry,
or hadith.
Quran and hadith, yep.
Right. Go ahead.
A mutashabihat is something which could entail more than one meaning.
Yes.
So they negate the literal meaning or the meaning which could relate to created things, and
Yes.
they leave the meaning to Allah, whatever that meaning is. They leave the specific
When
meaning
they
to
say
Allah.
the meaning, what do you mean by the meaning?
Um,
So I use a specific word. The intended meaning, what Allah
yeah, okay, yeah,
intended by that, and what the Prophet ﷺ intended by that. They know, we don't. We leave it to Allah, right?
yeah.
So so in that term and meaning, do we negate that it has a meaning? Do we say there's no meaning?
No,
We say what?
there is a meaning, and whatever Allah intended it to mean.
Among the what? What type of meanings?
Among the metaphorical meanings.
No, among the befitting meanings,
Okay, yes, all right.
right? Because there are meanings that are befitting of a word, and there are meanings that are not befitting. So we
Okay.
automatically negate the non-befitting meanings. But among those befitting meanings, we leave the real meaning that is intended to Allah. You got it?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, continue. What else? So that's
And
step
then
one.
we
Step two. Step three was about the how.
and then we negate the how, or we negate kayfiyat because there is no how.
Hmm. Then the last step, and we finish. 4.
And we negate any similarities to the creation.
Good. Now just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Quick.
Okay, so we sorry, I'm trying to remember. Number 1, tafweed. So we come across a verse with multiple meanings,
A verse or
a hadith with multiple meanings
that applies to what?
that apply to the attributes of Allah,
Good. That are
that are
muta.
mutashabihat.
Right now, get number 1 straight, quick, without making any mistakes. Go to explain number 1. First step. Go ahead.
So we look at the mutashabihat verse, which has more than one meaning, which could have more than one meaning
Or
in relation
hadith.
to,
Don't
or
forget hadith.
hadith in
Right.
relation to the attributes of Allah.
Right.
And then step 2, we negate the literal meaning or unbefitting meanings, and then we leave the meanings to Allah. It has a meaning. We leave it could be one of the befitting meanings to Allah, and we leave the specific meaning of that to Allah, whatever Allah intended it to mean.
Now,
And
number
then
3.
we negate our howness, because howness or kayfiyah is an attribute of the creation.
Hmm.
And then we negate any similarity to the creation.
Good. All right, one more time with no mistakes. Smooth. Boom.
Okay.
That's 3. So there'll be 3. I want us, because remember, you make intention to teach others too, so you can get the
Okay.
reward of teaching, because people are listening to you. And make, ad-dalu ala al-khair kafa'ilihi, the one who indicates the good is the one who does it. You're always in Australia, and you're getting to teach people all over the world. May Allah reward you. Go ahead.
Okay, so when we come across a verse or hadith which falls under the category of mutashabihat, we have to um, look at the meanings. We negate the literal meaning in relation to Allah's attributes, and we leave the befitting out of the out of the meanings which are left. We affirm the befitting meanings to Allah, whichever, but we leave the specific. We leave the specific meaning, as in the one that Allah intended it to mean. We leave the knowledge of that to Allah,
Allahu Akbar. Good.
and then we um, negate. Or have I already said that we negate the literal meaning?
You
We
negate
leave.
what? Al-kayfiyya.
Then we negate the howness, because howness is an attribute, an attribute and a feature of created things. So howness does not relate to Allah, so there is no how. And then we reject any similarities to the creation.
Right. Very good. Very good. All right. Barakallahu bikum, Dennis. I mean, is it clear for you now? So
Yeah,
answer
Jazakallah
all your
khair, Shaykh.
questions fast. Let's
I
go ahead.
needed to clear that up. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
No, no, no,
Jazakallah khair.
no. But you need to get it well. Why?
So I
Because
can articulate it.
you can relate it. And then when you hear differently, you will be able to identify it. I'll give you an example. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. No, the day before yesterday. Me and one of my brothers, we were driving, listening to a scholar explaining this issue. And he's a scholar. He made a mistake by saying we leave the how to Allah. And while we were listening, I immediately told my friend, I said, that's a mistake. That's wrong. And many times in our books, even Sunni scholars make that mistake. Sunni scholars make that mistake because of a lot of mixing with the Wahhabiyya, and they're not like real precise. This mistake happens a lot. They intend what you're saying, but when they utter it, it don't sound that way. What they intend is what you're saying, but when they utter it, it don't come out that way. And that's why our teachers were very specific in this, very specific, right? So we don't do tafweed of a kayfiyah. We do tafweed of the meaning, the ma'na. We do nephi of the kayfiyah, right? We negate it, right? Do you follow my point? There's a big
Yeah, I
difference.
understand. Yeah.
Tafweed is not of a kayfiyah. You negate
Yeah.
kayfiyah, not make tafweed of a kayfiyah.
Yeah.
All right, barakallahu bikum. And I'm going to try to get
Jazakallah
someone
khair.
else. May Allah reward you. And, I hope we all benefit from each other as we benefited from you. You benefit from us. And inshallah, we have a lot of work to go. A lot of work
May
to
Allah
do.
reward you, Sheikh. May Allah reward you.
Ameen, ameen.
Jazakallah khair.
Barakallahu
Assalamu
bikum.
alaikum wa rahmatullah.
All right. Who else wants to give a quick try before we get out of here? Just leave your camera off. Who wants to give it a try? We all learning and teaching. You benefit. Just keep your camera off. All I need is your voice and see if you can explain. Someone else wants to give a try? I might not get offended. Someone else may. So I wouldn't suggest you do it. I'm from the hood. You're right. So it doesn't bother me. But someone else may think it's disrespectful, and it may belittle the status of what we're trying to do in the mind of some people. So maybe it's better to leave off. But at the heart level, we from the hood. We're not going to let that go. Right? So maybe you shouldn't say that because someone would get angry. But for me, I never forget where I come from. And I think it helps us to be able to do what we do. But so it doesn't confuse people, don't say it. No one else? Come on, all of you are here. You should volunteer and make the intention to teach. The more is doing it, we know it makes me feel comfortable. I know people got it. And for me, I don't like to be called a sheikh. I don't even like to be called an imam, but I am actually an imam. But sheikh, for what I would like to see our sheikhs look like, I'm not one of them, right? And I'm not putting myself down. I'm saying what I would like to see our sheikhs look like, I'm not one of them. I'm helping, inshallah, to develop real sheikhs among us. We are callers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but that doesn't mean put us down. So if you mean sheikh by that, caller to Allah, call me sheikh all day. If you mean some big, great scholar, that's not reality, but maybe we're just trying to encourage each other, and that I'll accept that too. Yes, list the 4 steps. You want to do time flow, dear Breton? So if someone wants to come on and give it a shot. Come on, where's the courage? Where's the diligence? Give da'wah. Yes, time flow. You want to do it? There's the link. Just turn your camera off. I'm going to bring you. I only have like 7 more minutes. I'm way over time, but I think we're benefiting. If one person, the Prophet ﷺ told,
Assalamu alaikum.
where are you from, Sayyidi?
I'm Turkish, but I live in Germany.
You're in Germany. MashaAllah. Turkish in Germany.
Exactly.
Okay. You ready? You want to give it a try?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Barakallahu bikum. What's your name?
Eliasa Dawood.
Ilyasa. Barakallahu bikum. May Allah reward you. Go ahead.
So the first step is when we come across the mutashabihat in the Quran or the Hadith,
Yes.
we affirm the attribute because Allah has said it obviously. We
Mhm.
negate the literal meaning and we leave the befitting meaning, like one of the correct meanings, whatever Allah intended, we leave it to Allah, the correct befitting meaning. We negate the howness because there is no how.
Allahu Akbar.
Allah's attributes, and we negate any resemblance to the creation.
Can you speak Arabic?
Very little.
Okay, never mind. I was going to ask you to explain that in Arabic. Don't worry about it. Again, say it 2 more times quickly so everyone would benefit.
So we come across the mutashabihat in Quran or Hadith. We affirm the attribute. We negate the literal meaning and leave the befitting meaning, the intended meaning to Allah. We negate the howness and we negate the resemblance to the creation.
One more time. Great. You excellent.
We get the mutashabihat and affirm it, and we leave the correct meaning to Allah. We negate the literal meaning. We negate the howness and we negate the resemblance to the creation.
Allahu Akbar. Barakallahu bikum, inshallah. May Allah reward you. Please go teach people. Right?
Inshallah.
And inshallah, I'll do it maybe tomorrow if Allah gives me tawfiq. What I will do tomorrow morning, if Allah gives me tawfiq, I'm not promising, right? But if I can get and be on, I'll give you examples from the Quran how to do it, right? And from the Hadith how to do it. So like I'll give you a Quranic verse and I'll show you how to actually apply that in real time. I'll give you a Hadith and show you how to apply it in real time. So it, inshallah. So join in tomorrow, inshallah. May
Inshallah.
Allah make it easy for you. Barakallahu bikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Okay,
salam.
one more person. That'll make it 3. Come one more person who can explain. So we had somebody from Germany explain, someone from Australia explain. Where's you Americans? La ilaha illallah. Come on. That's great job. May Allah will reward Brother Dennis and Eliasa. May Allah reward both of them. MashaAllah. I tell you, it's not a waste of time. The Prophet ﷺ, as I told Sayyidina Ali, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, if Allah guides by you one person, it's better for you than red camels, than the red camel, which is his precious property among the Arabs in that time. But to guide one person is better for you than that. What better way to guide people to al-aqidatu sahiha, for them to learn the correct belief? MashaAllah. At least it's understanding. All right, one more person. I gotta go. Come on. Farouk, since you want to go off topic, come on, let's go. Come on, Farouk, join in. Let's go. That's why you at Mr. Charlie's. Tell Charlie you need a break. You gotta go teach the knowledge. Come on, one more person. Come on, help me out. Who's coming? Here's the link. One more person. Come on, just one more. It's 3 sunnah. One more person. It's a lot of y'all. Come on, one person. Just keep your camera off. It's not no pressure. Your camera's not on. No one's looking at you. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's all share in the da'wah. We can do it. Come on, Abdullah, you do it. Join in. Come on, you explain. I know you can do it. Come on, you can do it. Come on, man. Come on, come on. We're the sisters. Usually they have a lot of courage. One of y'all, come on. All right, Leslie, don't be shy. Where you at? Come save the day. All right, come on. Come on, Abdullah. Here's the link. All right, there you go. But now we got to do another person. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam, Imam.
كيف الحال?
Alhamdulillah, khair.
Sufyan, tell the people where you're from.
I'm from Singapore.
So you have Singapore here. Okay.
Sorry, Imam. What was the question? I was away for
So-
just now.
Explain the
Three sunnahs.
approach of tafweed of Ahl Sunnah, and I gave 4 steps.
Oh, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. When approach of tafweed, first you read it in Arabic. Then when you do not, when the verses of like, what do you call it, tafweed, when you read the verses, recite in Arabic, let it pass by, do not assign any meaning to it, and consign the true meaning to Allah.
Mhm. The 3rd step,
Recite Arabic, consign the true meaning to Allah.
what about al-kayfiyya?
And without a how, and there is, and do not attribute howness to Allah.
Right, or his attributes. And the last thing, which is obvious,
Allah exists without a place.
no. Negate any resemblance to
The
created
blessed
things.
creation, yes.
So go
Like
again.
color, okay.
Right, laysa kamithlihi
Recite-
shay. So the first level,
Okay,
you
recite in
read
Arabic.
or recite the verses of hadith that have those mutashabihat verses in hadith that contain attributes of Allah. You affirm them. You leave the true intended meaning to Allah, tafweed of the meaning. You negate the kayfiyya, and you declare Allah transcended among created attributes.
Return
Right?
attributes. Yes.
I do it again, all 4 quickly.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Firstly, read the Athar in Arabic.
Mhm.
First recite in Arabic. Move on. Consign the true meaning to Allah. Negate modality and
Mhm.
and do not attribute Allah to sifat of creations.
Barakallahu bikum. Excellent, excellent, excellent. May Allah reward you. How is the cat? Did you tell the cat I apologize?
It's
I
okay.
didn't mean really. Tell the cat that is majaz. My kalam was majazi. It wasn't hakiki. It was
Yeah.
majazi. I'm not going to harm the cat.
It's not husus. It's only Amar. Umum.
Tell the cat not to be a literalist. Barakallahu bikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Okay, one more. I need an American. We got everyone from outside of the country. Where are all the people in the country? Come on, one more person. I gotta go. Y'all can't let me down. Who's coming? Come on, Abdullah, Isa, where you at? I thought you said you was coming. Just make an intention to do da'wah. It's only 4 steps. You can do it easily. Because when you don't come, you make me think you didn't understand, which breaks my heart. We put a lot of energy and effort into trying to help us understand. Don't break my heart. Brother or sister, it doesn't matter. Just one more person. Come on. So we can close out. It's Jumu'ah. We want to get ready for Jumu'ah. Yeah, Nail, I have a heart. I do. I wish you could come explain. You want to come explain? You remind me of Farouk. Have a lot of talking, but it comes to explaining, silence. Come explain. Mutashabihat are those verses in hadith that bear more than one possible meaning, right? And the true meaning is not clear. That's called mutashabihat. So there is verses in the Quran and hadith like that, especially talking about the attributes of Allah. That's what we're talking about. Okay, Sister Miriam, take us home. We got Imad Farouk, so I'm going to let him explain, but go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullah barakatuh. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so we would affirm the meaning that is in the Quran or the Hadith. We
Not the meaning, not the meaning.
we affirm the
Wording.
we affirm the wording that is in the Quran or the Hadith.
And the wording is in which language?
It is in Arabic.
Right.
And we don't change it into any other language.
Right.
So then we lead the meaning to Allah. There is no how. And then we negate any relation to the creation.
Okay, say it again quick. Boom.
Okay, we affirm the meaning that is in the
meaning,
the wording that's in the Quran or the Hadith. Then we lead the meaning to Allah. There is no how, and then we negate any relation to creation.
When you say we leave the meaning to Allah,
There is no.
Does that
We
mean
leave the meaning to Allah. There is no how.
And when we say leave the meaning to Allah, what do we mean when we say leave the meaning to Allah?
That only Allah knows that meaning. We don't know.
So
only Allah knows what that meaning is.
There's no meaning. Do we say there's no meaning?
We say there is no how or modality.
Do we say there is no meaning? That's the question.
Do we say there is no meaning? We say that only Allah knows the meaning.
The intended meaning.
The intended meaning.
There are meanings and we know them. Some of them are not befitting. We negate them.
Yes.
Some of those meanings are befitting, but we don't assign which one Allah intended.
That's correct.
Very important. Why? Al-Wahhabiyya are going to tell you that if you don't assign the literal meaning, you're negating the attributes of Allah, and that's false.
And is that the mutashabiha?
Yes, that's the mutashabiha verses. What they're saying is the literal meaning we take, and if you don't assign the literal meaning, you have negated the attributes of Allah, and that's not true. That's why I'm asking you that question, just so you understand that we understand there are meanings for the words that are mentioned about the attributes that are used for the attribute of Allah. However, there are meanings for that word that some of them are impossible to attribute to Allah, like the literal one, and some of them are permissible to attribute to Allah, but we don't know exactly what Allah intended by that. Even though these are all befitting, we leave that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it.
Yes, Imam.
You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
All right, one more time.
Okay. So we affirm the meaning or the wording. I keep saying the meaning, my apologies. The wording that's in the Quran or the Hadith. We leave the meaning to the meaning to Allah. There is no how. We negate any relation to creation. And we also we only look at the befitting attributes or meanings that that can be ascribed. Pretty much. I know that's broken up, but
Yeah.
I know what I mean.
Okay, I got your point. All right, may
Yes.
Allah reward you.
Thank
All
you, ma'am.
All right, no problem. Farouk, last one. Imad, where you go? Represent Imam Genius. Don't let him down. Pittsburgh is depending on you. If you let Pittsburgh down, they're gonna kick you out of the corner store.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillah. One, we affirm the Arabic from the Sunnah, from the Quran and the Hadith.
The Arabic what?
The Arabic.
What are we talking about?
The Arabic word or
what?
Attribute.
Attributes of Allah. Good. Go ahead.
We leave the true intended meaning to Allah.
Right.
We negate the how.
Right.
And we do not resemble Allah to His creation.
All right, great. Now say them all again. Smooth.
Okay. One, we leave the attribute. We leave the attribute in Arabic from the Quran and the Hadith. We leave the true intended meaning to Allah.
Right.
We negate the how.
Right.
We do not resemble Allah to His creation.
I'm going to call Africa and celebrate. Imam Naeem, you can be proud. Imam represent Masjid Mu'min.
MashaAllah.
You have soldiers. Barakallahu bikum. Inshallah. There is another student from the class, so I'm going to let him go. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May Allah reward you. Go teach somebody today. Make sure you go teach a couple people in the masjid. So go to grab some people. Say we're going to go do a project and do some cleaning around the masjid. And while you're cleaning, tell them that.
MashaAllah.
Right? You going to do it, inshallah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I want the reward because I'm intending you to do something good. So the masjid needs to be cleaned. Take somebody by the hand. Say, come on, let's go together and clean this. And while you're going to do that, teach them this.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Barakallahu bikum. All right. Brother Kevin, what's happening? Assalamu alaikum. Are you there?
Oh, assalamu alaikum, Iman. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm gonna try to give it a try, Iman.
Are you Kevin from the class?
First you.
Huh?
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, Imam.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, first you do Shivat and affirm the verses from Quran and Hadith in Arabic. We do tafweed to those verses. We do tafweed to the Howlness or Al-Kafiyah.
What's that? The third part?
And we negate all into creation to Allah.
The third part, we don't do tafweed of the kayfiyya.
Oh,
We
we
negate
don't
the
we don't
kayfiyya.
tafweed to al-kafiyya or the howness or attribute any howness to Allah.
We negate it, not tafweed. Tafweed means to leave it to Allah. We negate kayfiyya. We don't make tafweed of kayfiyya.
We negate, yes.
All right, so do it again, all four again.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead. Just do it one more time, quickly.
Do it for again? Okay. Or those verses in the Quran or Hadith al-Mashihat,
Mutashabihat, go ahead.
We affirm them in Arabic with no other meaning. We do tafweed to those verses. There's no tafweed to any howness or al-kafiyya to Allah. And we negate any relation to the creation to Allah.
Good. Barakallahu bikum. All right. Assalamu alaikum. You're doing great. You're doing great. Did you finish your test? MashaAllah.
Thank you,
All
Imam.
right.
Salam alaikum.
Yes. All right. I appreciate y'all all. Really, it was a blessing, a blessing, a blessing, a blessing. And all of us, inshallah, I hope we benefited. We had enough repetition, so it should be clear. And tomorrow, inshallah, if Allah gives me tawfiq, I'm going to give you examples from the Quran and from the Hadith to show you how this works. Even if I just give you one, not a whole bunch, just one, because once you got one, then you can apply the concept to others. So inshallah, tune in tomorrow. May Allah reward you all and have a good Jumu'ah. Please read Surah Al-Kahf, make plenty of salat wa salam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And inshallah, tabarak wa ta'ala, stage by stage. If we just do this part, we're doing our part. Let the scholars do their work and we do our work together. Everyone does their work. The job and the mission is accomplished. Not everyone is going to be in the Pentagon. Some people got to be on the battlefield, right? For just figurative. We don't want to be in the Pentagon necessarily. But everyone has a part to play. Everyone has a role to play. So every one of you who learned this well and you didn't mess it up, make sure you learned it well. Go share it with someone. It's Jumu'ah. You're going to be around people all day. Go teach somebody. Go share it with somebody. You'll get the reward. You learned, now go teach. You got this. You got it well, just go teach them. Go tell somebody. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ballighu anni walau ayah." Convey for me, even if it's one saying. Go convey it. Go teach someone. You do know something. Imam al-Haddad, he said something beautiful in this regard. He said, "Man alima mas'alatan wahidatan fahuwa alimun biha." He said, whoever knows one case, then he is a scholar in that. Which is understood, then he needs to convey it. If he understands one case, one religious judgment, one religious rule, and he understands it well, he's learned in that, and he should convey it. You don't have to know everything. You know that. Go teach. Go teach what you know. Barakallahu bikum. And keep us all in your dua. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.